Kyle, this is Allmighty and welcome to this video. So this is the game we have been waiting for. Caruana is first with 6 out of 9 after 9 rounds. This is round 10 and Mamedyarov is second with 5.5 out of 9. So yeah, very important game. The outcome of this game will determine who will actually maybe go and win the tournament, or will we still see some kind of a battle between the first two players in this tournament. So let's just jump into the game. We have d4, knight to f6. So of course Caruana plays knight to f6. He doesn't want to go for d5. He plays knight to f6. He's going for some chances. He's going for a win. So c4, e6, knight to f3. So doesn't want to play knight to c3. Getting away from that Nimzo-Indian stuff. No, doesn't want to play that, Mamedyarov. We have d5. A very common setup. We have seen it. And g3, going for the Catalan. So, okay. And now we have d takes c4 right away from Caruana. This is kind of a provocating move because you know that white is going to move the bishop to g2, and usually this bishop picks up the pawn when it's taken on c4, and he's telling him you will have to pick up the pawn with something else. We have bishop to g2 and now knight to c6. So this game is getting interesting and more interesting by the moment, because knight to c6 isn't the move that you will see when white plays d4 as a first move. Maybe as first move as black, but not usually in this game. So let's see what happens later. We have castles and now rook to b8. Playing some untraditional moves for the kind of a setup that usually d4 offers. Not saying that this is bad or anything, so this is one of the lines, but yeah, it isn't something that you usually see. We have e3, and now, as we can see, the light squares of white are going to play an important role, because black can take advantage of it, and now this light square bishop becomes really strong. Bishop to e7, and we have a knight from f to d2. So it seems that white has decided to capture this pawn. Of course, you cannot defend it. b5 isn't possible because bishop captures, and the knight will be the piece who will capture the pawn. And now we have e5. Want to release this bishop since b6, b5 aren't possible moves, and this bishop doesn't want to go to d7. Then yeah, the position of black would be really passive. So e5 is a correct move in this position. But now I'm not sure what to say, but the decision that Mamedyarov makes here will definitely determine the course of the game. I mean, that is how it usually is with the chess moves, that the moves determine the course of the game, but this is kind of a move that doesn't usually is played in the Catalan game, because your bishop to g2 is your stronghold, so the guy who is protecting your king and protecting the white squares around your king. So you're giving it up for this knight. Okay, you are doubling up. So now for the first time in this tournament I see 3 pawns on one file. So yeah, it is something that you don't see quite often, but is it actually good to give up a light square bishop for this knight? Yeah, we will wait and see what happens. Now we have d takes on e5 with tempo. Knight comes to g4. He wants to pick up this knight. And now we have knight to c4. Knight captures the pawn back and defends this pawn. So now the question is, will you exchange queens? Caruana didn't want to go for this because still he wanted to play for some chances, and he's played bishop to e6. Keep defense on this knight and also attacking the white's knight. So bishop to a6 isn't possible. Maybe you would play it in a blitz or bullet right away, because you can see knight to c4 always good. Rook is on f1, knight is pinned, but you'd lose to queen to g4. So bishop to e6 a good move, and knight from b to d2, not allowing the exchange of queens, protecting your knight. And now we have h5. You have to, yeah, black, it's a really strange opening for black. So black doesn't really have that much space, that much flexibility, and yeah, he has to make these strange moves in order to, yeah, keep some counterplay. h5 in order to, yeah, even just push h4, and we have f3 now. So the idea behind this move is, yeah, this knight, if he goes to h6, yeah, white is just better. Also after e4, not e4 right away, because then queen to d4 and you lose the knight, but essentially, yeah, not that many squares where, yeah, then the knight can go to. Also the bishop is kind of locked up. So Here we had a move which is queen to d3. Something unexpected, at least for me. I was expecting something like h4, kind of opening up the position, but we can see after f takes on g4, black doesn't want to lose a piece. He will take on c4, knight takes, and queen takes. And now we have g takes on h5. So after all of this, white is 2 pawns up, but his position isn't the most active one, because this bishop isn't developed, and to actually develop it, you would have to create some space, because you would have to maybe play b3 at some point, yeah, bishop to b2, so queen to e6 is played, so that there is no b3 with tempo, and also you're attacking the e5 pawn. We have queen to f3, keeping the defense on the h5, attacking f7 and c6, so queen to e5 would lose right away with queen to f7. You have to play something else, and we have rook to b5, so the best move in the position, you wanna, if you can't take with the queen, you will take with the rook, because now this pawn cannot be defended. We have queen to f5, wants to exchange the queens, rook takes, queen takes e6, and rook takes on e6. And now the decision is, will you play something so that you can develop your bishop, but then you will lose the pawn and you lose the material advantage, but then you go for some positional equalizing positional position. Yeah, I don't know what I just said there, but it's a decision, will you go for the material or a position, essentially. And here Mamedyarov went for the position. He played rook to f5, keeping the h5 pawn. This rook is out of the game, but on the other hand, now rook to d6, and Caruana will play rook to d1, and white will have a problem the whole game how to develop this bishop and get this rook into the game. We have king to g2, rook to d1, and b3. So giving some space for this bishop. Of course, you cannot play bishop to b2 right away because of rook to d2 would check. You would have to play the king on f3 or something like that. So we have g6 in order to open up the position, and here Mamedyarov didn't want to capture on g6, because after this and rook to e5, then rook to h2 is a possibility if you play king to f3. It isn't all that good for black. Of course, bishop to a3 is now a possibility. This bishop is pinned, so there are threats on both sides of the board. So position is kind of equal, but here Mamedyarov played rook to e5 right away, and now we saw c5. So preventing this bishop to a3 and also limiting the squares where this rook can go to. As you can see, all of this is covered, only e4. So little by little, yeah, this rook doesn't have squares to go to. We have h captures on g6, f captures on g6, and now e4. So releasing this diagonal for the bishop, so that at any point, since this bishop is pinned, bishop to g5 can be played. Also a threat now is rook captures on e7, so if you play some stupid move, king to e7, bishop to g5 with check, king has to move and you lose the rook. So you have to address it, and Caruana plays a rook to h7. So now rook can capture on e7, we have h4, and now rook to f7. The idea is put the rook to f1, and yeah, just you will either lose the bishop or then the rook. So we have king to h3 moving out of the way, rook to f1, and now bishop to g5. So Mamedyarov finally decided, okay, I cannot defend this rook or a bishop. I don't want to lose two pieces. I will give up a rook, but I will get a bishop, and I will have two pieces for two pieces and play that endgame. So rook to a1, rook to e7 check, king to f8, and rook takes on c7. So after all of this and rook to a2, yeah, there are two pieces against two pieces. Black is exchange up, but white has one pawn more. So, and also, yeah, black king is cut off, so he still needs to play this game. We have bishop to e7 with check, king to g8, and rook to c8 check, king to g7, and bishop to c5. So now in this position, white has two pawns more, and also he has this passed e pawn. So both of the players, once again, looking for some chances. Well, I think at this point black couldn't hope for more than a draw, because yeah, this king can just escape. More of a problem, so more chances for win actually white has in this position. We have rook to e2 attacking the pawn, and e5. Now if you take on e5, bishop to d4 is a move, so you don't want to allow that. So rook to d1, and we have rook to e8 defending. Now rook to d5 and bishop to d6. Now rook to d6 doesn't work. You don't want to take right away because you lose the rook. Rather, rook to e7 check, king to f8, and now you capture. And now if you capture the rook, then this is just a winning endgame for white because he is a pawn up. So in this position, yeah, here Caruana didn't take on d6. He played rook to e3. So putting the rook on this file, so rook to d3 can also come and attack this pawn twice. Rook to e7 check, king to g8, and so in this position they actually could have gone for a draw because white can have a perpetual here, just giving checks on e8 and e8 and e7. Yeah, for example, we have rook to e8 at any point, so after this check you don't want to go king to h6 because of a move such as yeah, rook to d7, and if you play something stupid, then this is check and this is checkmate. So white is in a losing position, that also, since also this is a move that needs to be addressed. So rook to d6 is actually the best move here. So white could have gone for a draw here. I mean, he still wants to win, but there aren't any real chances that you can do something about it. Black will attack you and give you checks. So yeah, but okay, let's move on. Rook to e7, king to g8, rook to e8 check, king to f7, once again rook to e7, king to g8. They also repeated the moves to reach time control, and after b4 now and rook to d3, both of the players reach time control. And now we will see. The move that white has to make is king to g4 to escape from the corner, that he can come closer to, yeah, the attack, and that there aren't any perpetuals. But we have rook takes on g3, king f4, rook check, king e4, rook check, king f4, rook check, and king g5. So Mamedyarov decides not to repeat the moves here. He goes to g5, and now we have rook to f7. And it seems that, yeah, you don't want to allow the capture of the a7 pawn, and that all will be well, the pieces will be exchanged, and it will be a draw. So we have e6, first rook to d5 check, king captures on g6, and now rook captures on d6. So you cannot capture with the pawn, you capture with the rook. Rook captures on e6 with check. Yeah, this is a rook endgame where white has only a pawn. Rook to f6 is played, and it will seem, yeah, it is a draw. But no, they play on. Of course, you don't want to take the rook here. You play rook to e4. If you take the rook, then white is just a pawn up, and he will win the game. You would rather like to take one of these two pawns. So we have b5. White keeps the b pawn, and he gives the h pawn. Rook takes on h4. Rook to a6, attacking the a pawn. Rook to h7, defending. So now finally we see that we have a rook endgame where both of the players have a pawn, and they can easily draw the game. So no, still not. We have b6. Don't know what's the reason. I guess he wanted to exchange even more. But Caruana goes on a checking spree with rook to g7, king to h6, rook to h7, king to g5, rook to g7, king to f5, and now takes on b6. Rook takes on b6, and now it seems that this is a draw. So will they play some more moves? Of course they will. After all, they're allowed to play chess. That is why they were invited. A rook to f7 check, a rook to f6, rook takes on f6, and king takes on f6. So now Caruana actually wanted to play king to f8, but the arbiter came and told him that, man, don't make any moves. So it was a draw 20 minutes ago, so please go and prepare for your other game. You're playing against Kramnik tomorrow. You know how unpredictable Kramnik can be. Please go and prepare for that if you want to go for a win in this tournament. So yeah, and yeah, okay, they agreed. It is a draw in this position, and yeah, unfortunately, we still don't have a winner after this game. Such a shame. But yeah, Mamedyarov had a good try there. He at one point had 2 points, but yeah, just the activity of Black and Caruana played all the best moves in the position and managed to, in the end, never really had any. Yeah, even though he had much activity on the first rank, with the rooks he never really had some serious advantage. Both of the players made exceptional moves, and you can see that they are one of the best players currently playing. So yeah, Caruana is playing against Kramnik tomorrow. We all know how problematic he can be and how just difficult positions he can play. I'm sure that Kramnik will show later in the conference how he could have actually won the game, but my chances are on Caruana tomorrow to actually win in the actual game. But we will see. Caruana is looking for that 1 point, at least one more win in the next 4 rounds to actually win the tournament, and Mamedyarov is playing against Wesley, so who is just playing for a draw since he's technically out of the tournament, he cannot win. So yeah, Caruana in a better position, I would say, tomorrow. And yeah, this is pretty much it for this video. Still no winner, sorry for that, but round 11 still gonna be exciting. Yeah, I would like to thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.